Kind of Odyssey, and today we're going to talk about palm reading. Today I'm going to give you a general idea of timing of when things might happen in your life. Nothing is set in stone, no matter what anyone tells you. Even if we're reading tarot cards and we tell you something, things can change. If we look at the lines in your hand, and the lines in your hand are a pretty good map of what might happen in your life. However, depending on your attitude, the way you take care of yourself physically, it can change things that might be happening in the future or has happened. And nothing has happened in the past. If it happened in the past, it's happened. Okay, at any rate, so the timing we want to go by, because many times when I do a palm reading, and I do quite a few at my shop, people will come in and I'll look at the hand, I'll tell them something to go, okay, when about did that happen in the past? When the person asks me when it happened in the past, it's because they're just trying to feel it out and see whether or not I am telling the truth or not of what I see. And then they'll say, okay, now when will this happen about? We give approximations of the time that this would happen. So, for instance, this is a picture here, if you can see it, it's hard to see, of your lifeline. Now, if you look right here in the center of that lifeline, right there, I drew a line. All right, see that? Okay. Now, right in the center of this line right here, it's about 49 years old in that area. Now, as you go up towards the fingers, it's less. In other words, it would be like 35, 28, 21, 14 or 7. It just this is where it begins. And as it goes down, it's a little bit older. So, if you were to have, we'll say, chaining in an area up here, I would know that in the past, you've had some difficulties with your health. The higher, the younger. The lower, the older. Now, if that chaining was long, it would mean that you have fragile health over a long period of time. And again, that can be changed by taking care of yourself. Don't get me wrong. Some people have conditions that, can't really improve tremendously. But by exercising and take care of yourself, follow whatever it is, the guidelines that your doctor gives and stuff of this sort, you can improve. So that would be chaining. Now, if you had islands, an island, as you know, would be something like, let's see, get a piece of paper that you'll be able to see. An island would be something like this. If you can see it or not, there's a little sort of loop right here. See it right there? That's an island, okay? Now, if you have islands in your hand, in your lifeline, that would tell me that at that particular time, there would be either some sickness that came up or an accident, something of this sort. If you had several of those islands, like say you had an island, then there was a space, then an island, a space island, okay, that would show a reoccurring sickness that you might have. Or if you're tremendously accident prone, reoccurring accidents, it could happen. At any rate, you'll know about the ages that this will happen. If it's a break, the same thing, it would be a health issue or an accident. For instance, in myself, I have a break in my lifeline, and that break falls around, well, so I'm going to say between 56 and 60, because it's a long break. At any rate, at 57, I had a problem with my heart. And of course, I'm much better, but it continues. That because what the damage to my heart stood. At any rate, but my lifeline then got strong, even though it was broken. And of course, now I am 74, and that happened when I was 57. So if you have these lines in your hand, whether it's a break or it's an island or chaining, you know that in those areas there could be sickness or there could be some kind of accident. And again, these are not set in stone. Things can change depending on how you take care of yourself, depending on maybe your diet, or depending on whether or not you feel ill for some reason, whether or not you go to the doctor and you go, it's nothing. All of this, it depends. That's why things can change. At any rate, you might look for that and then you'll know. Now, the next one, of course, is that I look at, one of the most important lines here is the destiny line, which runs right up there and it has to go up to the saddened finger, which is the middle finger. Okay? So in other words, it would start someplace down here and run up like this and go to the middle finger. Now, sometimes it'll start off to the side a little bit like that. Sometimes when it starts off to the side, it shows you're like pretty social type person. At any rate, if it goes directly straight, you're more of a private person. But at any rate, now in this line here that runs up, the destiny line, to that middle finger, if it does not go to the middle finger, it is not the destiny line. Now, sometimes we have breaks in that line. We could have islands too, but sometimes we have breaks in it. And that would mean a change of direction in your life. Something different has happened and things are changing. Now, as that goes up, the middle of that, you'll have a line, that line that I drew here on my palm that goes across, that middle would be 28. It's different than the line here on my lifeline. But it is on that same line, but it's over, and it is 28 years old. And then it goes up, 28, 35, no, and it continues to go up. Now, when it gets to the headline is this line here. It starts here, and it runs across, either down, but for now, just for argument's sake, we're saying now it runs across. So, at that line, right where it meets, it's somewhere between, I would say, 40, 42 in that area. As it crosses, we're going between 45, maybe 46 in that area, or even 49, I should say, where it hits the heart line, because the heart line starts on the other side. The heart line is the only line that starts on the pinky side of your hand. So, now it'll come across and it'll hit that line, and you're looking, like I said, between 49, 50. You know, again, you gotta give it a little bit leeway inside there. And then it continues up, and it goes to the middle finger. Now, when it gets to that middle finger, the ring of that middle finger, right here, is 80 years old. Okay, middle finger. Yeah, I put it on this, can't see in front of me, right there. Okay, that is about 80 years old. Now, as that line goes up and it has breaks and different things happen, you'll know that there's changes that meant to be. Sometimes it's a new career, a new, something new. It could be even a new relationship, but things will change for you. Now, a lot of times we can measure and see where the line stops on what your life expectancy might be. However, sometimes it breaks up, and then it is more difficult to tell. And there are other times that line will just cross the heart line and then stop. That doesn't mean you're going to die in your 60s or early 70s. It just means we do not see what's going to happen between then, we'll say 80 years old or 90 years old, whatever it might be. We will not be able to really tell. Now, some people will tell you, nope, if it's not there, that's that. But I've been doing this for a while, and what I see is that we're not sure. Depending on how you take care of yourself, depending on what should happen in that area, what the result would be. If it is broken up in several lines, that means that there's going to be things going on that changes, continuously changes, could be in health or something of this sort, but there will be continuous changes in that area if it should break up. And a lot of times it does break up. It'll come across, and then it'll go up a little, then it'll sort of jump, and then continue up again. Again, every time there's a break in the destiny line, there is some kind of change or something different happening. Now, that would be the destiny line. Now, here, if I can find it, here it is. Now here, hopefully you can see this, because for whatever reason it didn't come across well enough as I want to. This line here, see, has a timeline also. Now, on this one, right between these two fingers right here is 42 years old, right there. About between the fingers here, the small finger, the pinky finger, the other one is about 63. And right around here, on this side, it's about 21. So as I'm looking at that, as I'm reading someone's palm, for instance, okay, when I see breaks at certain times in that area, I see it. Again, it's only my opinion. I do see there is problems in some kind of relationship, some kind of love, or something of this sort. If I see a split in it, a lot of times I see that there's going to be some kind of separation or something of this sort in that period. That's what has been proven to me, as I do my readings, and I've been doing readings for many years. As I see them, it's usually always when I see the split, there's something happening in relationship. If I see a break in it, again, there's some kind of break, it comes back. Now, that's not to say that you cannot repair whatever that relationship is, but that is to say that there will be some kind of problem at that particular time. And again, by going by this and knowing, again, I'll use my hand, that here is 42 years old, and then as you see that thing travel up and go across, you could pretty much determine about the age that there might be problems. Okay, now if you want to go more in depth to that, we can, but you'd have to come and see me or send me a picture of your hand or whatever, and we'd be able to give you a professional reading rather than just this way through the net, because there's nobody here in front of me naturally, but I've tried to help you to understand some of the timelines that there are. Now, on the other note, on some of our lines that are on our hands, for instance, we'll go with this one here. Now you see this is a headline, and if that headline goes all the way across without bending, without changing just one side to the other, normally, I personally call that the judge's hand. The reason I call that the judge's hand is because this is a person who lacks sympathy. Very intelligent, matter of fact, reads a lot, is a person that, they're sort of void of emotion in a lot of ways. And they're very focused on the facts, nothing else. It has to be the facts. So, this is why I call it the judge's hand, because the judge should be that way, should deal just with the facts. Don't deal with emotion, don't deal with sympathy, just deal with the facts to come to a decision. You could do sympathy after, but, you need to be able to be focused on really what's happening around you. Now, that is a wonderful line to have if you're a judge. But if you're not a judge, you need to change that up a little bit. If you find yourself that you're not sympathetic, you're lacking emotion, stuff of this sort, you have to change that up. You have to become softer on your private life and understand. Now, of course, I'm not saying everybody has the line as a judge, because that would be foolish. But if you are a person that has that line, you do lack certain things. You are intelligent, you are very focused, but at the same time, you lack that thing to get close to, a person on that individual level, close enough. So you have to be able to work through that. One of the reasons I do palm reading, or for tarot card reading as well, is I try to help people. My job, I feel, I am again a minister, but I am a pagan minister. My job is to help. So I don't just look at the cards or look at your hand and, well, this is it, take a hike. I don't do that. I just look at your hand, or I look at your cards, and now we talk. And we try to find a solution. What you might be lacking, or what you need, or what's coming towards you. Stuff of this sort. Okay. Another heartline would be, I got a picture over here, that you'll be able to see, hopefully. Now that heartline, see that? Now that heartline runs again from this side, and it runs down, but it turns down. You see, if this was the headline, turning down is okay, but the heartline is different. When it's the heartline, it shows a person that's not really as friendly as they could be. They're sort of shy, they have a little bit rough time finding love and stuff of this sort. They're not an easy person to warm up to, because they're not really, into that kind of stuff. So that line would indicate that when it takes a swoop down, that would be your heart line. So again, if it takes that swoop down, that's the kind of person that you like this? Yeah. Okay. If it takes that swoop down, you know that is a person who is more difficult to get close to. That doesn't mean it can't happen. Again, look at these, look at your hand, look at these, and see where you stand in your life. And understand, is it something that is like sort of natural to me? And then you have to change up sometimes. Sometimes we do have to change. We have to change for the good of ourselves, the good of the people around us. So depending on how you present yourself would mean easier to find love, easier to find work, and above all, easier to love yourself. It's very difficult to love somebody completely if we do not love ourselves. So when we look at somebody's lines on our hand, we see that there's a person who's emotionally void in one line, another one, a person that's hard to get to. They're not as trusting, they're more shy, they're not that outgoing, I want to get there right away. So we say, what do we do with that? We find a way to change that, to be able to be more sympathetic, to be more emotionally involved. To be 100% focused is magnificent, but at the same time, you have to be able to use love and understanding in your decisions as well, so that you understand that. Sometimes when we're 100% focused on only the problem, then it's having a problem. We have, I should say, a problem understanding the problem. Other than the fact that it's black and white, it's there, but understanding the reasons why something might happen or is happening. See, we get the cause, whatever it might be. Because I want to tell you something quickly before I end this this video, is that most things are 10% cause and 90% reaction. Meaning, if something happens, and say you're a person that's tremendously focused, and something happens, and now, big, you've got the facts, you know exactly what's going on, you're focused. Now you react. And you react sometimes poorly. And maybe that reaction will be like, anger, whatever it is. And you're so angry that you go to work and you curse people as they're driving to cut you off. You curse at your boss, you curse at your customers. You go home, or whatever the situation, you go back, you visit the situation again, it aggravates you again. You understand? That is the cause. Every situation has a 100% span, no matter what it is. So 10% starts it, and the way you act or perceive it is 90%. If you would be able to not only get the fact and now understand and find how to get a solution, you wouldn't have to deal with the 90%. I have that happen too many times. I can't tell you how many times, it's because of the years I'm doing different things like this, that I see mostly everything is reaction. I say, okay, so somebody did something to you, fine. Now for 2 days you're kicking the dog, kicking the cat, strangling the bird, whatever it is. Making your fish swim backwards in the tank because you're nuts. That's reaction. So we have to understand, we have to deal from love and understanding. Okay, so come and see me. You know where I am, at the Redditor Flea Market in Mount Dora. I'm in booth C. There are other people around there, but only come to me. Ask for Bob, and don't accept anybody else because it is not me. So, come and see us. Please like this video and please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe. Blessed be. Thank you. And subscribe.